Hey guys, it's Joe here. Welcome back to the channel. And I just wanted to share, in my group yesterday they had a question posed. If you thought to yourself, when you were still using, if you ever thought to yourself, could it be the drugs? But then you thought, you're like, nah, and you kept going. So the example that I thought of was probably happened in 2019, maybe 18. Um, it had to do with when I had my laundry piled up because I used to live kind of almost like it was like a 2 bedroom, 2 bath, but it was actually 2 studio apartments hooked together. So, I was in my run and, and wasn't working, needed some money, so I decided to make an Airbnb and rent out half my unit, right? And all I had to do was put up like a divider, like in this archway, and it kind of conveniently divided into 2 units. Well, this girl rented that half of the unit for like 60 days, something crazy. And I was like, that was the side that the washer was in. So, needless to say, my laundry just started piling up. Because I would usually do my laundry in my unit, right? And so, since I didn't have that washer dryer hookup anymore, my clothes started to pile up. I bought so many packages of new underwear. I still to this day have like a lot of pairs of underwear. I have a lot of socks, a lot of t-shirts, and it would pile up. And then she finally moved out, and she had broken my washer. It wouldn't drain right. So I'm like, oh, finally I'm going to have to go to the laundromat. And we had one in my building, but I'm like, I don't want these people to see me doing laundry in my building. They're gonna, well, first of all, I'd have to hog like all 6 of the washers. And then I'd probably forget, and my laundry would be sitting over there forever. And they'd be like taking it out or calling me, or somebody saw me doing something in there. And I just didn't want to have to deal with that. So I came up with a bright idea. I had this like a storage bin, that you could buy at Home Depot. It's kind of has the handle, and it's on wheels, and it's a gigantic one. I'm like, why don't I put all my clothes in there, and I'll just walk 2 blocks to the laundromat. The last time I did laundry, there was a laundromat right across the street, so it made it easier. But that was years before I had the washer dryer. I had gone to that one. Now the closest one was like 2 blocks away. And so I got all my laundry, piled it up into this, storage bin. I didn't have a lid on it. Of course, my laundry was spilling over the edges. And so I'm like, well, I'm going to take the back door. And so I walk around, and I had to go pull it up these like 5 steps to get to the other side. Boom, 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 boom. Laundry's falling off. I'd go back. It's a hot day too. And so I go around to the side door, and I'm like sneaking out the side door. Like, of course, a couple people are going in. They're seeing me drag out my laundry out Broadway in Long Beach. And it was a weekday, and it was 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And Broadway is one direction, it's one way. And that direction, it's the PM, the afternoon rush. When you're driving home, you'll go down Broadway. So there's all these cars. I'm like, everyone's like looking at me, and I had to go by the busy Vons. At the time, it was a busy Vons. There were like lots of people come and go, and there's people sitting out on the planters having their lunch, and me, I'm dragging down my dirty clothes down the street. I'm like, I remember huffing and puffing. I was like, 1, 2, 1. And I'm huffing and puffing. I'm like, oh my God, I have to take a break. But I didn't. On the way there, I didn't take a break. I just kind of like stormed through it because I was too embarrassed to lift up my head. I just had my head down, and all the cars were passing. Nobody honked or anything, but people were looking at me. Finally get to the laundromat, and of course I didn't sort the clothes into, the different hot, cold, dark, light, whatever. So I'm at the laundromat, and I'm like, well, I think I have a lot more light clothes, or whatever it was. I think it was light. I needed a lot more bigger washer for the hot. So I'm like, they have like lots of different sizes there. But there's one spot in the laundromat where they have kind of a bigger one and a smaller one right next to each other. It's like, oh, perfect. So I'll just like sit here and sort my clothes, and while I'm taking them out of the bin. And so it was taking forever. And it turns out I had more whites. And I'm like, oh, well, let me go to the biggest, the gigantic washer. It costs like $8. And so I pull all my clothes out of there and go to the big gigantic washer, shoved all my clothes in, put the soap in. It was broken. Good thing there was a second one. So I had to took all my clothes out of there, put in the other one. I'm out of soap. I'm like, oh man, let me go scoop the soap out of that other, because I used the powder. So I'm like scooping the soap out of there. Finally broke down and bought some more. So then, I'm like trying to find dryers for everything. And that part was unremarkable, really, because, there's kind of a lot of crazy people at the laundromat. I was just another one of the crazies. So going home, I didn't fold my laundry there. It would take me forever. So I'm like, let me put it in the back. I put it back in the bin in a folded fashion, but not really. I just kind of threw the towels on top. And I'm like, I'm going to take a different route home, because I didn't want, I have to drag this big storage container down Broadway again in front of Vaughn's. So I'm like, I'm going to go around the other way, down to First Street. So I get out, it's still super hot. And I have to go across Broadway, so I'm lugging my thing across Broadway, and I get past the gas station. I'm like, and I'm huffing and puffing. I'm like, I need a break. And so at the corner of the little side street, I think that would be 2nd Street, I stop, and I'm like, I need to sit down. So where do I sit? Inside the bin, on my dirty clothes. And I'm like, and so I lay back, laying on my dirty clothes, and I look up, and the building across the street, it's being constructed, and so there's construction workers, and they're one of them's looking down at me, and he's calling his friends over, and they're looking down at me what are you doing? I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I could see them gathering up, looking down at me. And that's what I thought to myself, could this be the drugs? I'm like, no, I'm just having a string of bad luck. So anyway, I think I finally got it together, and it was super heavy. I don't think my clothes even dried all the way. So it was I should have dried them. Oh, it was so heavy, and I'm dragging it back to my building, and finally get there, and I thought I was gonna sneak in the garden gate, and I was a ton of people. They're all looking at me. I'm like, man, these people are conspiring against me. They knew I was coming, and they're they're all in the lobby waiting and watching. And so, yeah, that was my experience where I thought, could it be the drugs? Nah. It was probably a couple more years until I got sober. All right, that's it. Over now. Bye.